I'm Debbie, and this is Apple Harvest Stitching, a YouTube channel about cross stitch, and we are back with another Flosstube episode. This is going to be a WIP update, and I'm going to show some prior finishes for the winter holiday season. It's been a minute since I've been here. A lot's happened. I think my last video was in July, and I got very sick, and work got not very good, and then I moved. So my background is different. And no, you are not crazy. In one of my most recent videos, I had already moved. In June, I had moved. So this is the second move in a year, and I'm in a completely different state now. I was living in Arizona, and now I am in West Virginia. And we have bought our first house. So very excited about that. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I would much rather get you all caught up on the WIPs that the cross stitch projects I've been working on, and kind of move on. So we are going to hop right in. I do have a bit of a pile of WIPs that I've worked on since we last spoke. The first one I'm going to show you is the Grand Library. This is what it looks like. I am stitching the supersized regular color version, and I am starting down in this bottom corner. So currently it looks like this, and I've been focusing on finishing up the bottom. There's a bottom partial page that kind of cuts off at the top of this paper, and so I was focusing on getting the last remaining stitches in there and then finishing those colors out wherever they went, which is why it's super focused and complete in that bottom corner, and then the colors just kind of fade out from there. Since you saw it last, I think I put in about 800 stitches. And one of the things I'm doing on this project is I started this project doing 2/1 tent stitch on this 28 count, but I didn't like the quality of the image that was coming out with the tent stitch. So I am now converting all my future stitches to one strand full cross. So I'm hoping that that'll make the lines a bit more crisp. Don't get me wrong, I have some other projects on 28 count or 32 count 2/1 tent stitch, and they're coming out great. But for some reason, I think it's because this picture, oh, lost it. Nope, didn't want to do that. Well, I'll tell you, this full project has 715,000 stitches, and I have stitched 5,600 so far. I am at 0.79%. All right, let me just show you the mock-up again real quick. It's just because the image is so detailed. There's so much in here that I feel like the tent stitch just kind of blurs the edges a bit, and I'd like this to be as crisp as possible. So there's that one. The next one is also a full coverage. Not very much done on this at all, but I started this in like January of 2020, and I did just this one 10 by 10 column down here, and I think I got about, I don't know, 800 stitches total, and then I put it down. So I only had it out for like one session, and so I pulled it out and did some more, working on the first page and starting to get some detail in there. I do like this piece. I do plan on working on it a bit more once Ex Machina is finished. But let me show you the mock-up. This is called The Unicorns, and it's by Lisa Parker. And this is what it's going to look like. Oop, there. So I'm up in that top corner over here. And I love these blues. I love those tones. So that'll be fun to kind of get more into. But really my focus has been on Ex Machina, which I will show here in a bit. I've been trying to work on it every day. So this will hopefully come out in the new year. The next one is another full coverage. Oh, and this one is being stitched on 22 count Hardanger 2/1 full cross. This next one is called the Commodore, and she's going to be my next full coverage focus piece once Ex Machina is finished. Let's look at the mock-up. So here's what she looks like. This artwork is by Marta Dalig, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. The previous two pieces were also charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I love her. I love her so much. So she'll be my next focus on a finish. And before I show you where I'm at, let me just tell you how many stitches total we're at as it loads. We've done, only me. I've done 38,000 stitches out of 303,000 stitches. I'm at 12.53%. And here is what she looks like so far. This is the full width of the fabric. So I started in this top left corner and then got completely distracted by her face. Let's see if I can bring you in. I can't see the, okay, there we go. Then I got completely distracted by her face, and eventually I'll find this other corner and then work my way down. But I kind of wanted to finish her face mostly. So what I've worked on is, now I'm in a totally different camera setup. I have to figure everything out again. Okay, I filled in her nose and around her mouth and her chin and got all that completely done. So the bulk of her face is done, and then I started working in this cheek over here. And I also pulled down some of these background colors on that side of her face. So once I get bored of her face, I will get back up over here and kind of find this other corner. And this one, I haven't really stitched on her that much since just in general, but because I'm doing it 2/1 stitch, it goes by very fast. So once she becomes my focus on a finish, that 12.53% is gonna increase exponentially, and we're gonna see a lot of progress on her. So super excited to kind of dig into her, because I never really have. I've usually just stitched on her 1 or 2 days at a time and then let her go, because Ex Machina has always been my focus. The next one we have here was a new start for the Halloween season. This is called Halloween Letters by Primrose Cottage Stitches. Get a close up here. And I just started top middle, I believe, and I was working on the haunted word. I stitched on this maybe 1 or 2 days, and that was it. September and October were, well, September was a very scattered month, and then October was just a very painful month in general, in life, in work, in everything. And so I was hopping through projects, couldn't focus on anything. So that's it. That's all I have done. And this is, what fabric is this? This is a 40 count Oaken by Picture This Plus. and I think these colors are going to look great on here. We've got orange and purple and green. It's black. So that one's fun. Not going to come out until next year at some point, probably. Oh, great. The next one I worked on was also a Halloween piece. This came out in 4 parts originally, and it's called When Witches Go Riding by Tiny Modernist, and this is what the full piece looks like. I started with part 1, which is at the top here. And the last time you saw it, I had been working on this angel. The full outline was done, but I was still filling it in, and that is all that I had had. And now, get the fabric out of here without crinkling as much as possible. Now, let's see. This is where we're at. I finished the angel and then started working on other parts. Oop. So I got the witch mostly done. The end of her broom needs to be finished. But looks good. And this fabric is a fiber on a whim called peridot or peridot, however you say that. And you can't tell, but it's like a limey green color. No, you're not gonna be able to tell, but it looks good. All the colors look good on here, and I think it's gonna be a really good like Halloween piece. And that's not gonna come out until next year. Okay, and then I completely lost my focus and decided that because we were trying to buy a house and everything was up in the air, we didn't know if we were moving and if we were going to be moving. I mean, we're moving out of state. I think the last time I moved across the country or out of a state was when I was 10 years old. So this was huge. Oh, let me show you actually what this is. So I pulled out this Victorian charm, which I'd had in my stash for a long time and had never started. This is by Dimensions. A lot of people have stitched this, and I've always admired it. So I figured since we were trying to buy a house, I would work on this house project. And I worked on this exclusively for a week, and I started in the middle. And that's what I got done. I made some counting errors like right away and had to work around them, which almost made me put this away. But I think I figured it out of how I'm going to work it. But because I worked on this when I was at my most stressed out, now when I look at this, I can feel the residual stress from when I worked on it, and now it's kind of ruined it for me a bit, and it's gonna have to go away for however long. Another one I worked on, it's another full coverage. This one is something I'm stitching for my brother. It's called Mark of Chaos, and I charted this one myself from a wallpaper I found online. The artwork is a Warhammer artwork, Warhammer at 40K, which is one of my brother's favorite things. So I wanted to stitch him something for one of his new rooms. And I have shown this one before, and I've worked on it since. So I think I have about 5,000 or 6,000 stitches complete on this total. This is being done on an ivory 28 count linen, and I'm doing this 1/1 full cross. And this is what it looks like so far. I started bottom middle because I didn't want to stitch a bunch of black at first. I wanted to like actually see something. And so this little gold piece, I was working on filling that in because that was full of confetti. And then I was taking each color I worked in there and I was just working it wherever it went. So over here, I believe this is the edge of a page. And when I first started, I was just taking colors and working them wherever, which kind of gives you, something to look at. So this one's been fun to work on. I believe this was my very first full coverage piece that I did on 28 count, 1/1 full cross. And I wanted to double check that I was okay doing that before I converted the Grand Library to doing 1/1 full cross. And I'm really enjoying how it's coming out. I think it looks beautiful and stitching it is enjoyable, which I think with a full coverage piece that's going to take like 150,000 stitches, it needs to be enjoyable, right? So I did some on that. And then I had another new start, and I finally started my second Mirabilia. I stitched a Mirabilia a few years ago. It was the Gypsy Queen, and I loved it. I loved every stitch. She's still not framed, but I took a while to start my next Mirabilia because I figured once I started it, I was going to want to work on it quite often. So I wanted to make sure that I was going to make the commitment. This is Lilith of Labrador, and she's smaller. She's smaller than the Gypsy Queen, so I think she'll go by a bit faster. I just stitched on her for one day. I am stitching her. I was inspired several years ago by Angela Stitches here on YouTube. She stitched Lilith of Labrador on Haunted by Picture This Plus, and so I absolutely had to do the same thing. So let's see. Here she is, right in the middle. You can kind of see her arms on either side. And from here, I'm gonna work. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna work up or down. A lot of people like to finish Mirabilia faces before they do anything else, and honestly, I kind of like to leave all the detail bits for the end. So I was thinking of doing her tail first, because if I go up from here, um, that's the smaller part of the pattern, is her skin, her face, and her hair, and then you have all of that tail. So I was thinking of at least getting down to the knees of her tail before working up, and kind of maybe going back and forth a bit. But I have her fully kitted, so I could go either way. And what you're seeing here is really just a few colors. I think I was working just from the middle out and picking a color as they come and then finishing the thread. So that's it. That's all I got on her. But now that she's started, she'll be coming out quite frequently, I think. Well, frequently for me. Like, I'm not going to put her away and then not work on her for years. She'll come out next year and I'll get some good progress on her. Okay, the next project is another new start, and this was the first piece I stitched on when we got into our new house and we had moved across the country and got everything in. And now we're in a place that actually has all 4 seasons, and so I wanted to stitch something seasonal to kind of commemorate that. And this piece moving forward is going to be my snow stitch. Now that we actually get snow, because in Arizona we lived in the Phoenix area, which is full desert, you don't get snow there. So I started working on Winter Cardinals by Dimensions. And I've had this kit for a long time as well, and just never felt like starting it. So now I wanted to start it. And I started in the middle, and I started with this one of the birds, and then kind of worked my way down, getting in this background. So this one's staying out because I will work on it some more. And this is as far as I got, which I think is pretty good for my first session. It was several days. It might have been like 4 or 5 days that I worked on it. I did not finish this bird because the what's remaining in here is the reds, and I'm gonna stitch the red cardinal last. Something to like work towards as I do all the background. And so the birds will get finished last as I work through the whites and the blues and the greens. So that's where we're at. And I will work on that more very soon. Okay, so we have two left. We've got Ex Machina, which I'm going to show last, and then I have the project that I was working on yesterday in between cooking for Thanksgiving. By the way, if you do celebrate American Thanksgiving, I hope you had a wonderful day yesterday. All of my cooking dishes came out well, nothing burned, everything tasted amazing. So that was very gratifying. I also watched the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for the first time in a couple years. Finally figured out how to stream it because I haven't had regular TV in a long time. So I watched the Thanksgiving Day Parade and I put up my Christmas decorations, which after moving like 3 times in the last year have been whittled down to some core items. So now we're in this new space and I'm still trying to figure out how everything's working here, but so that was cool. Got that all done. And so what I pulled out was "'Tis the Season" by Blackbird Designs. And let's see. How do I want to do this? Let me just, here we go. By Blackbird Designs. I am using all the called for colors, but for the fabric, I'm doing Valor by Picture This Plus. I'm using a 40 count. So these colors are Soie d'Alger, I think. Just double check. Oh, Belle Soie. They're Belle Soie by Classic Colorworks, which is a silk. And I've been enjoying every stitch. My needle's still in here because since I was stitching on this while I was cooking, I had to like hop up quickly and put it down and come back to it. And then at one point I just never came back to it. Let's see. Looking a little washed out. You can't quite see the white in here, but in person you can see the white very well. I am finishing up this half of the project. I'm almost done with it. I just have some snowflakes to do on the end here, and then I have the berries to stitch through, and then I'm going to work over here where the bird is, and then I'm going to stitch the words at the bottom last. And I have decided to keep the words in French because I think that it just adds, I don't know, it just looks nice. So my goal with this is actually to finish it this season. So December 1st is 2 days from now. And I'm hoping that if I make this a focus, that I can get that other, I mean, the other side is a big bird, but I'm hoping that I might be able to finish it this season. And this is the one piece, you can see this, it's like rolled up here. This is the one piece I'm stitching in hand just because this piece of fabric, it just worked better that way. Also, this 40 count fabric, the holes are tiny, and so it's also been helping me stitch it. Oh, my cat has decided to sit on the last WIP. So, here, Evie, look out. I need this. Thank you. Okay, so Ex Machina. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I have been working on this for a long time. I'm gonna have to back up here and see if I can. So this is where I'm at. Let's see. There. And this year I've, of course, been working along the bottom. And scooch back in. So I've been working on the bottom, and this year I had like this section done, and then from here across is everything I've done this year. And I just have this corner left, and this is about 18,000 stitches. This piece totals 282,000 stitches, and I'm stitching this on 22 count Hardanger 2/1 full cross. And I started this back in 2019. This is my very first full coverage project, and I fell in love immediately. And I have enjoyed every stitch of this project. And if you look at her, really, there's something to stitch in every area, except for maybe right below the clock, which is, background, but that actually went by really fast. Everywhere else is something really enjoyable and interesting to stitch. And although there were a few bits of like crazy confetti where there were so many different colors in there that it was very tedious to get any progress, most of this was just enough complexity mixed with, easy stitching that it's been enjoyable all the way through. I've really enjoyed working on this. And I'm super excited to get her finished because I do have a frame for her already. I found an oopsie frame at Michael's that was only $8, which is going to fit this huge piece. So what So my goal, of course, is to finish her. Originally, I was hoping to finish her by the end of this year, but with how insane things became after July in my life, um, all concrete goals have disappeared. Like, she'll get done. Like, she's gonna get done. Obviously, it most likely will not be by the end of December. Um, but I am trying to make a commitment to work on her every single day and try and get like 250 stitches so that I can maintain that momentum. So since you last saw her, I finished this page over here and then filled in a bit more here, and then I've been taking stitches in this corner and kind of filling them in as I go. And so she's getting there. She'll be done. Uh, I'm really excited to get to the end of her because it's been 5 years. So almost there. So this will obviously be staying out because focus on the finish. So that is all the WIPs, more or less, that I've worked on since I last spoke to you. I do have some plans for December, which I'm going to talk about in a different video, but I do want to show you a couple of Christmas and wintry finishes that I finished in the past. Sadly, none of these are fully finished, but maybe in December, that might be one of my goals. So I do have a couple Little House Needleworks ornaments that I finished. I forget what they're called. I don't have the finished pieces with me, but I will say over here, this used to say Douglas fir, and I kind of changed it just to be kind of to add a moon and have it be a little just a wintry scene without the words. So those are cute. I do have room for, two more. And I did stitch this one. I think I stitched this one in 2022 and I stitched this one in 2023. So technically I should be doing another one, but I'm not. My small for this year is going to be something else. Another finish we have that I got this on Etsy a long time ago, and it says, "Why is the carpet all wet, Todd?" And this is from Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. It's one of my favorite Christmassy films. I watch it every year, and there's a companion to this that says, "I don't know, Margot," and so that needs to get stitched at some point on this. And I'm harboring this huge piece of fabric for this little ornament, and I probably stitched this in 2020. This is a 46 count white linen. And I believe this red is either 321 DMC or 498. I'm not sure. This next one I think I finished this last year. This is called Happy Christmas by the Prairie Schooler. And I did make a change. Some of the houses are a light green instead of the tan that they were charted as, because that's just a bit more my aesthetic. And that was fun. I started this probably back in 2020 as well, and it was good. It was really good to finally get it finished. This was like the one seasonal piece that I brought out like every year and maybe stitched like one day on it, and then last year I was like, no, I have to finish it. So, yeah. So it just needs to be framed maybe this year. This next one, I believe this is by Plum Street Sampler, and it's called Hello Winter. And I stitched this on the Zweigart like Stormy Night or something like that. It's just like their country mocha but in gray. And I did this with the DMC colors. And so that just needs to be framed. It would make a cute pillow, but I did some pillows recently for my cross stitch design company. I was doing some models and they didn't turn out the way I hoped they would, and so I'm kind of pillowed out. So that'll probably be a frame. And then the last one is Peace on Earth, which is by Country Cottage Samplings, I think. And this was fun to stitch. I used the DMC, and then the red is just a fancy cotton overdyed from my stash because I wanted to get some variegation in there. So, and that one will definitely be a frame. I actually have a frame already for that. I just need to mount it on some sticky board. So those are all the finishes that I've done for this season that I could find and pull out. Sadly, I don't have any fully finished items for this season, so that should be a December project, I think, is trying to do some fully finished items. So that is it for this video. I showed you my WIPs, I showed you some finishes. I do have plans for December. December starts in 2 days, and December 1st is actually my birthday, so I kind of want to make December a little extra special because it's my 40th birthday, and the last couple months up to this point have been just really awful. So I want to have some joy. So I'm going to have another video after this video that's going to talk about some December plans and what I'm planning to do to enjoy the month of December. So stay tuned for that, and then and we'll just go from there. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you've come back from my previous videos, thank you so much for coming back. It's really nice to see you. Please tell me in the comments what you're working on. What have you been stitching lately? And I will talk to you guys next time. So thank you so much. Bye.